I'm back. Came out of hibernation, came back from vacation to continue on the I Refuse Podcast YouTube channel where you are watching this video. In a little series we like to call Surviving Diddy. In just the past 12 to 24 hours, the Didster is facing two new issues. What is it about these two issues is different from the previous lawsuits and static against Diddy since Cassie's filing last November? One's an artist. The other isn't even free. Alright, you white motherfuckers, all eyes on me. This is the I Refuse Podcast. Let's get into it. This is Miss Fox, the I Refuse Podcast. Like I said, I am back. I know it's been a while, but I'm back with the jump off. Rest in peace to James Earl Jones. Rest in peace to Frankie Beverly of Maze. It's been a wild one. I've been gone for a little bit, still for a while, processing my own grief that I had mentioned in the last video about Carisha coming out of hiding. But I had to come back, right? Because I am loyal to what I start. And if you are new to the channel, I'm Mr. Fox. This is the I Refuse Podcast, YouTube. We have 5 seasons of the I Refuse Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Season 6 is coming soon. Also, the Usual Suspects podcast. We just dropped a new episode today over there. This Surviving Diddy thing, we started a series over here called Surviving Diddy. This is probably part 12 or 13 at this point. One person has officially been awarded a $100 million default judgment and a temporary restraining order against Diddy. A man by the name of Derrick Cardello, who is currently serving multiple life sentences in a correctional facility, I believe, in Michigan. Last month, he went before a judge, and we'll play the whole thing in a minute here, to plead a motion. Derrick Cardello is claiming that back in 1997, when he was a bartender at a local Detroit restaurant, that he crossed paths with Diddy. And at some point, Diddy, Cardello is alleging, invited him to a Holiday Inn somewhere in Michigan, where Cardello claims that he and Diddy engaged in group sex with women. At some point, when Diddy started to show interest in Cardello left the group situation to go sit on the couch. At some point, Derrick Cardello Smith went to go get something to drink. At this point, Cardello is claiming that Diddy allegedly gave him a drink, to which Cardello assumed was Jim Beam. Cardello is then claiming also, he goes on to say, he went to the couch to partake in this beverage. And as he continued to partake in this beverage, he started to feel off, drowsy. And as he fell into a state of unconsciousness, he claims that Diddy said that he added a little something to his drink. Later on, when Cardello came to, he claims that Diddy said that he penetrated him. This is all alleged. At this point, Cardello ran to the bathroom to check himself, at which he claims, before the judge or in his motion, that there was blood and he felt some pain. Doesn't stop there. So at some point in 2024, Cardello alleges that Diddy allegedly came to visit him in the Michigan facility where Cardello is serving his multiple life sentences, to offer him $2 million to make the allegations and the suit to go away. Cardello claims that he has the visitor records to back this up. So, back on August the 7th is when Derrick Lee Cardello Smith went before Judge Manazole via Zoom, right? So it's the judge in this square, I guess Hollywood Squares, Derrick Lee Cardello in what looks like an interrogation room in the jail where he is, in this square, and the judge's associate help in the bottom square. Now, Derrick Lee Cardello may be serving multiple life sentences, but brother comes across very well read, articulate, and as you know, the white people like to say, very litigious. Very litigious. He knows his sources to support his arguments. The goal in this specific clip, from the August 7th hearing, is for him to be granted a temporary restraining order against Diddy. And he adds, during the course of the trial towards the end, to add to the restraining order that no Michigan representative of Diddy is to come anywhere near him. The motion itself stems from Diddy's listing his LA mansion, the same one we said got raided by the Department of Homeland Security back in March. Cardello aims to halt the sale of that property, for it would keep him from reaping the monetary judgment if it went to a civil jury trial. He's claiming in the August 7th hearing that it will do more damage for him. And we're gonna play the whole thing.
Derrick Lee Cardello Smith, sir?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is in the matter of Derrick Lee Cardello Smith, MDOC number 267009 versus Sean Puff Daddy Combs, also known as Sean P. Diddy, also known as Diddy, Bad Boy Records, label owner, founder, also known as Puff P. Daddy, Bad Boy, Diddy Run the City, Sean Combs, also known as
all these
Sean
commas.
And this is file number 24-7362NO. Dirty paperwork here real quick, this other paperwork. We do have Mr. Cardello Smith appearing from the Michigan Department of Corrections. Sir, where are you currently located?
I'm located at the Ernest C. Brooks Correctional Facility, 2500 South Sheridan Drive, Muskegon, Michigan, 49444, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir.
Or your honor.
Thank you. So I do see that we do have a proof of service on Mr. Combs, but for purposes of this hearing, you filed a motion for a temporary restraining order and or a preliminary injunction to stop all sales of the property and assets attached to or involved with said property based on the interest of plaintiff and plaintiff's connections to defendant's sexual assault of plaintiff Derrick Lee Cardello Smith, requiring a preliminary injunction and or a temporary restraining order. We did set that for hearing today, and luckily the Brooks Correctional Facility was able to make you available. Actually, they had to drive someone up today on another case. So, sir, I have received your motion and a proposed order. Do you wish to argue the motion today, sir?
Yes, your honor.
All right, you may proceed then.
Okay, the purpose of it is based on two actions taken by Mr. Combs himself, directly with me here. We did a live one-on-one visit in our prison visiting room. There's two meetings within the past 2 weeks with Mr. Combs on one meeting, and then a financial advisor on the other meeting on Mr. Combs' behalf. And he stated that he would make me an offer to end the case and what happened to me because of other things that he stated he has going on in his life that require his money right now, and he wants to sell everything off. And he made me a financial offer of $2.3 million to allow what happened to me to go away. And he stated that he's going to be selling his property, and under the 2005 California Civil Code 2881-2885, the creation of liens, which allows out-of-state justices and orders to cause a stop of any title transfer, property transfers in Los Angeles or any other place that he has property. He stated that he wouldn't be able to proceed with that sale. And he did it the day after I served him the suit. And he also said that he won't be filing an answer to the complaint. He said, you find me in default or whatever, he has a better chance with default than he would with having a restraining order stop. And I said, so you want to hide your money, and some remain saying quite possibly paid to me if I'm given the benefit of a judgment in my favor for what you've done to me. And he pretty much said, yeah, he goes, you know how we get down. And I said, okay, well, I disagree with how you get down. Your sale shouldn't go through.
So I'm gonna, hold on.
I'm sorry.
Cardello Smith, okay. So you went in a different direction than I thought you were going into. I thought we were just gonna focus. No.
We are.
You kind of went off in a different direction than what your actual motion was.
Yes.
So what I just want to say is settlement negotiations.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
In this case, are probably better not. Yeah, they're not to be placed on the record today. Okay.
I apologize.
No, it's okay. You're not an attorney. I understand that. So if we can just backtrack and focus just on your motion.
I do what you want.
Okay, thank you.
If he's allowed to sell his property that he has in LA and the properties that are in his name being used and held by other people in Michigan, then it will cause me harm because I can be tied directly to those properties through loans and through other areas of investment that I did when I was out there and while in prison through money that I've sent. And if he's allowed to go through with any of the sales, I won't be able to recoup any of my monies or anything from him as a result of any possible judgment in this action, if he's allowed to proceed with it. And an injunction or a restraining order would help ensure that he's not manipulating and selling the property to avoid his responsibility in these matters here. That's what a temporary restraining order would do. It would prevent that from happening. Because it's a very serious matter. It involves a lot of money, and him selling this would help him avoid his liability for these actions done upon him. And I was just hoping that I'd be able to get the restraining order to prevent that. There won't be any harm to any of the parties. There won't be any harm to them in any way. And if it's deemed that it's not justified, then he can go ahead and go through with the sale at the end of the case. But one has to be put in place to stop this from happening.
Okay. Okay. So, thank you very much.
Yes.
Hold on, I'm just looking back through your complaint.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna check one more of your filings. So I'm gonna step off the bench for 2 seconds and I'll be right back, all right?
Yes, Judge Anselon.
Thank you.
You with the defense?
No, sir. I'm having a hearing and they stopped the hearing so you could be heard.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so thank you, sir. Is there anything else you wish to add?
I was just, first off, just thank you for giving me the hearing and thank you for setting a pretrial on this matter. Thank you, Your Honor. There were some other filings that you should have gotten. I didn't know if that's one of the filings you could have been referring to.
So I received your complaint and all the attachments to it. And then I received this motion. And I just wanted to take a moment to review back through the U.S. District Civil Docket and your complaint. So I did do that. That's all. And
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
Everything that you're looking at, they're all tied in together. Every part, as crazy as it seems, as outrageous as it seems, it all ties in. Every bit of it, every facet.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a proof of service showing that Mr. Combs was served on July 6th of 2000 and, let me see, is that 24?
Yes, Your Honor.
Looks like it. 2024, return receipt requested was provided, so there is proper service. Mr. Combs has neither appeared nor responded to this request, so I'm going to grant your motion for a preliminary injunction temporary restraining order and order that the defendant and their agents are hereby enjoined temporarily for a period of 90 days from the sale, transfer, or exchange, trade, or transaction of title or deed to the property listed as the address and placed on the market by defendants for the amount of $70 million, and this property and estate belonging to or connected to defendant Sean Combs shall cease and desist any and all trades, transactions, or otherwise stop the process of any further actions on this property being continued, and this shall have an immediate effect. I'm going to date this August 7th of 2024, and I am going to sign this, and we are set for a pretrial date on Monday, September 9th of 2024 at 2:30 p.m. Is there
Your Honor.
anything else? Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you so much, Your Honor. First off, thank you very much, ma'am. The second thing is, under the summons rules and the court rules of service, Mr. Combs, the defendant, had 28 days after he was served by mail, 21 if it's regular process service. His 28th day was the August 3rd, and there was no answer on the default. and I understand that I have to motion verbally or in writing, whichever one you prefer, however you prefer, to have default judgment entered. And today is literally the 29, 30, 31, 32nd day, I believe. And I'd like to either preserve the issue of default judgment or judgment in my favor, based on failure to answer.
Okay.
Whichever Your Honor would like.
Right, thank you. Typically, we require that. Ms. McGrain. Is Ms. McGrain in the room? Oh, no, hold on, I'm talking to my judicial attorney. Typically, we require the, motion for the affidavit and motion for default be filed. So Ms. Adams, is Ms. McGrain in her office?
She is not. I'm going to go find her right now, Judge.
Okay.
I know, I read that rule. I read the rule, Your Honor. MCR 2.603 governs that. And it said the party can do it in front of the trial court judge or by mail. Whatever you want.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm holding it. Usually your requirement.
You guys pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, I think he just halted the sale of Diddy's mansion. The one
Can you
that
hear
got
Mr. Sala?
raided by the Department of Homeland Security.
Marching down the hallway. She sounds like a herd of cats.
This guy's pretty good.
Alright. Okay, so, sir, the court rule that you're referring to, it's not a trial date, so I think I'm right. So you're gonna have to file the affidavit and request for default, okay?
Okay. Yes, Your Honor.
And, obviously you'll be able to file that before our pre-trial date anyway, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor. Okay, so the
Alright,
order was granted?
The order, your ex parte motion was granted, or your motion for a temporary restraining order was granted. I've signed it. And so we'll get that processed and back to you, and then you'll have to obviously serve that on the parties.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Can your order
All
say
right.
any, Your Honor, can you add on your order any Michigan representatives of him acting on his behalf for Michigan properties as well as part of that order? Or does your order cover everything?
You provided the order, so I'm going off
Yes,
the
I
order.
did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, so I'm going off the order you provided to me, and I've signed
Okay,
that order
that's-
already.
That's what I
Okay.
needed. Thank you. All right, thank you, Your
Thank
Honor.
you, thank you, Mr. Cardello Smith, and we'll make sure the writ's done, and we'll see you back in September. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless. All right.
Thank you.
That herd of cats. I love that.
She's heavy-footed. I always know when she's coming around the corner.
Not heavy-footed. All right, so he got his temporary restraining order, this Derrick Lee Cardello guy. And it sounds like he also was granted a block on the sale of the mansion. Now, the part that I'm kind of hazy on is where he was talking about any like impact to him or monies he said that he gave to or contributed towards Diddy in the house. Now, I don't know how long dude's been in jail. Multiple life sentences as well. So that's the part I'm kind of hazy on. It's like, what, since 1997, have you contributed towards Diddy in this house? Could that relationship be a little bit deeper? Because, you know, here's the thing. If there's one thing I've noticed in my years alive, that Diddy has been a force of nature in music. I know old boy never travels alone. And I know that he could retain people One of the videos we have on the YouTube channel in the Surviving Diddy series is that he literally could influence people to work for him or come along. And who wouldn't say no back in the 90s? No Way Out just came out. You're the guy behind Biggie's career and his music. You got Bad Boy Records. It's definitely possible, right? So I'm thinking, was Cardello a mule of some kind? Was he like a buddy? But then I was like, that could tear away credibility. But then you could also be like, the Didster allegedly has a history of threatening, forcing himself, making threats, stuff like that towards people in their lives and the lives of their family and stuff like that, allegedly. I don't want none of that funk and static coming over here on the RFU's podcast channel. So I don't know if more will come out of Derrick Lee, Cardello Smith's situation, but he ultimately was awarded a default judgment on that $100 million against Diddy. Now, that just simply means that because Diddy and his team did not appropriately respond within the time window before the default, which is, you don't respond, you don't show up, you don't file anything officially responding, it leads to an automatic default judgment. You watch enough People's Court, you know that. So, unfortunately, in this particular case, the court or the powers that be have put Diddy allegedly on a payment plan of $2 million a month. Now, what that may mean for a person incarcerated on a multiple life sentence, not really sure, because it would be foolish of the state of Michigan and the federal government to give this money to, if not him, Cardello directly, people that Cardello are related to. It's at the very most, it's a court game. And, while people are incarcerated, they still have most rights. Like, you can file anything from behind bars to halt, to impede, to someone else, or, to protect yourself from a person that you feel is terrorizing you, menacing of you, towards you. Anything that you feel falls right in line with the perception that the rest of us have or have had about Diddy since November. I've said it before, anybody can file a suit. Anybody can get legal representation to file a suit. Costs little to nothing to do so. Now, other things that make this pretty special, beyond some of the obvious things I've talked about, is that he got a default judgment. You haven't heard, it's now what? It's September 11th. You haven't heard much since I last talked about the producer. You haven't heard anything new since I've talked about the yacht stewardess. You haven't heard anything more involving his two older sons. Well, no, not Albie Shore's son, but Justin and Christian. Like, what all was going on there? It could very well be possible that people were paid off to be quiet. Maybe the boys were sent off somewhere. But I'm just saying that to say, this guy actually got a default judgment and a restraining order from jail. You know how wild it is to get a restraining order from somebody that can't go nowhere? A person that is free that comes to the jail can't go beyond the call area, like the conjugal. Don't want to say that in this case, but the area where you pick up the phone and y'all talk through glass. If Diddy comes, Cardello doesn't have to come meet him. I was thinking in my mind. So, you know how special it is? Yo, like I thought about it, you really got to be a true menace to society to get a restraining order filed against you by somebody that's in jail. Like, that is wild to me. Then the other thing that came out recently, like the last 12 hours, Diddy is facing another suit, this time by Dawn Ricard. I keep calling that girl Dawn Richard. That sounds real wild. She's claiming a lot of stuff. And not just what she witnessed, allegedly Diddy brutalizing Kim Porter and Cassie, but also allegedly he ran a train on one of his assistants while they were overseas. And I believe this is during the Diddy Dirty Money era, which is what, 2010, 2011, 2012? She's also alleging harassment of some kind, fat shaming other female artists, even some of the girls in Danity Kane, allegedly, during the Making the Band era. Now remember, he did come back with Making the Band, post the band, where he had Day 26, Donnie Klang, the infamous season that Diddy and Lorianne Gibson got into it in front of audition contestants. I talked about that. And I even talked about the fallout from that. There was a lot of stuff cut out, edited out from that particular incident that was disclosed, details that were disclosed in a lawsuit allegedly against him by her. And I don't think just against him, but also Mike Bivens, Bad Boy Records, I believe MTV. There was things allegedly got physical. Very iconic to watch, though, what was broadcast in that particular episode. But yes, another special part in this latest chapter. It is one thing when it's outside people hired or employed to offer a service, such as pouring bottles, being a waitress on a yacht, being a producer. The list goes on and on and on. But baby, when it's an artist within your label that has worked with you up close and personal on tours, domestically, internationally, and has seen some shit. And even Abstract Sagittarius said on the Usual Suspects podcast today, episode is out, wherever you get your podcast, that she saw, looking back, she saw a difference between her now, where she's looking healthy and happier, and back then when she was part of Danity Kane, or her road to be part of Danity Kane. I know a lot of y'all watching this will go back on YouTube where you're watching this to look at those later seasons of Making the Band. I know he did, I think, 2 seasons with the band, and then came back and did, I think he did 1 or 2 seasons with forming the 2 groups and Donnie Klang as a solo artist. And then I think it was a season of them after, while they, they're on tour, like another season, I think, which was like shorter, of him breaking Danity Kane up. I know somebody out there will have the forethought to put a playlist together so we can all binge watch it. But you got to be a true menace to society. Just ruthless and no bounds when you have a restraining order filed against you by somebody that can't leave, and you are now facing a suit by a former artist of your label. Or an artist, formerly of your label. And going back to what Derrick Lee Cardello said, he made mention of Diddy is looking to relinquish, liquidate, sell all of his holdings and all this other stuff, which is a strong indication that 1 or 2 things may happen. God forbid it's not the second thing. I mean, it begins with an S. I'm not going to say it, and I wouldn't even, that's just such a coward way to go. But the other thing is, he may go on the run. I don't care if they give me life, baby, long as I'm next to you. That's my shit. But you can't outrun the federal government, my guy. You can't. A lot of what you own is on loan. You selling off your stuff, or really, I guess trying to pay off your debts. It's like the amount of debt in my mind outweighs what you actually can make, or plus what you actually have on you at the time. It's still not going to be enough. I was telling Abstract earlier, the government is just in the background while this is all playing out. Now, if you go back on earlier videos on the I Refuse Podcast YouTube channel here, I explained a lot of things. But nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see how he goes with this. But yeah, this is another chapter in our Surviving Diddy series. I'm so glad to be back. It was not on my bingo card for this. These are 2 instances of things, A, making a mark, and B, hitting close to the home. But before I get out of here, another thing that was not on my bingo card is Shannon Sharp going live while getting freaky, allegedly, and trying to convince us that he was hacked. This is Miss Foxy IFU's podcast. I'm back. I'm going to try to get back to my weekly schedule. Don't forget season 6 of the IFU's podcast will be returning very soon. I may do early October. It just depends on how I want to start with what. Season 6, no 2 seasons of the IFU's podcast are alike. This theme that's coming for season 6 may be the one for the books. Hope you've been enjoying the previous 5 seasons of the IFU's podcast. We Get Your Podcast. Hopefully you've been enjoying the current 2nd season of Usual Suspects podcast. You know, we're in season 2. Episode 18 just dropped. We're going to be wrapping up the IFU's podcast After Dark soon. The latest season, season 2. I'm going to get abstract over there again for a little story time. In the meantime, we will catch you guys later on. Peace out. Fendi, like the bag. This is the IFU